What is up, guys? Logan here again. I want to get into a technical analysis video. I know I haven't uploaded a video in a little bit. I've been traveling a lot. I've been on the road for like the last 5 days. I'm starting to feel a little sickly just because when you're on the road traveling so much, it can just take a ton out of you. So I've been able to watch the market a little bit more and kind of relax. So that's what I've been doing. If you guys want to join the Discords, the links are below. Don't forget to leave a like and a comment on this video. But that's kind of what I've been doing. And I really appreciate all the support, and then also you guys being really patient with me as I've been traveling and trying to figure out the best time to make videos, film them, and everything like that. So I want to talk about my daily VWAP day trade strategy and why I also incorporate the EMA into it. And I was talking to a couple of the premium members today about it, and I figured why not make a video so that people can see what I see when I make positions so that you don't feel as blind when going in on trades. Also, like for yourself too, whether you're using the strategy or not, it's another good way to kind of gauge daily movement, watch volume. And I didn't make a video tonight on my nightly watch list, but this is kind of a little substitute for that. But we'll look at the stocks that I'm currently watching. So Snap, Amazon, and SPY, and then AMD, right? So we'll hop into AMD a little later. But let's start with Amazon because this is my current top stock of the week to watch. The earnings are on the 29th. And this is just one of the best looking charts I've seen all day as far as trading goes. And I'll get into exactly why I believe that. So if we start by looking at the chart here, so I use the daily VWAP strategy, right? So you can see that market opens, boom, we mount the VWAP line. We do it twice, which generally leads to more green candles. That's what we got here, and Amazon ran from about 3,200 flat all the way up to 3,280, which if you're playing options or shares is a big deal. So it's a pretty big movement. Then we start to see a little bit of a reversal, and we get a little bit of volume. See how we lack volume down here, and then boom, we get a little bit more of a spike. It's a big seller's candle. So this is the setup trend that I love to see in the morning. Now this happened in the first 30 minutes. All the 5-minute candles were green. That's the other thing too, I'm using the 5-minute charts. So we're looking at that. And if you see down here, we bounced off the VWAP twice, and then we almost got there a third time. Now this showed a very like we were about to have another bullish pattern, right? Because we bounced off the VWAP. That's a very, very strong indicator that we have more room to go ahead and maybe come back and retest 3280, right? But what happens is we got a sell candle and it fell through the VWAP. And then once I see another red candle underneath, that's when I think it's time to enter put positions. Now I didn't enter a put on Amazon because at this time I didn't have enough capital for Amazon and there's a lot of craziness. This is when SPY dropped really quickly, like 2 or 3 points, and it got pretty ugly right around 1040. But I was watching it, it fell through the VWAP. Now, like I said, this is a strong indication for me to take a position. And it fell all the way down to the EMA line, right? And this is my 180 day, as you guys can see, my adaptive EMA. And right as it hit it here, it just started consolidating along the EMA line, right? So that was another thing that kind of caught my attention as we were coming back up to the VWAP line, which if we did test it, it either gets shut down or it can break out. So I kind of use that as an indicator to take a new position. But it was lunchtime, and volume is super duper low compared to the first hour of the day. So that's where I was kind of like, okay, let's see how Amazon moves. Well, it fell through the EMA now. So instead of consolidating along it, it finally decided to take a direction, which was a big sell. Then it kind of hit I like to call it like hitting the ceiling. It hit its ceiling, boom, another sell candle, we start to get volume, so more sellers come in, and then we start to trade along the lower VWAP band and find some more traction, and we're building our way back up to the EMA, consolidation, then we break a little bit past it, fall through, and then at the end of the day have a big green candle, Now SPY started to get some traction right around here in the last 5 minutes of the day. It was really interesting to watch, in my opinion. Everything just kind of shot up really quickly, so we'll see what this does and going into after hours. But if we're talking about like the stock to trade for the day, I mean, Amazon, if you could have caught a call here, or even your positions are closed out in here, watched it kind of fall, you saw it break through the lower VWAP band and then continue to sell off, hit the EMA and consolidate. I mean, it's so weird because this is such a great trend and all the indicators really lined up on this one. So that's what you need to watch with the VWAP. Is it's such a good time to indicate when to take positions and also when to exit, and it's not perfect every time, but from my experience it works about 85 to 90% of the time. So that's kind of what I use to enter positions. But even when Amazon was right here, I kind of thought it was too late for me to get in. So that was the other thing that I wanted to be mindful of, and I'm happy I didn't take a position because we got that reversal really quickly. And then, you know, Amazon's a big stock, right? So when it does sell, it's like a $15 movement, right? So that's the other thing too that you need to stay mindful of. But that's all for Amazon. Let's look at Snapchat and how I was able to play this, and based on the charts, right? And this was one that I'm going to continue to play this week, and I spent all day just monitoring it really. So if we zoom in, whoops, I zoomed a little too far out. Alright, here we go. So this is a little better. So if we look here, Snapchat opened really strong. We had a huge seller come in, and the volume is just literally ridiculous. It set like a volume record in the morning between the pre-market and actual open. We had a huge sell candle, fell through the VWAP in the EMA, and the whole time it traded along the bottom of the EMA, and I was like, okay, I'm going to be mindful of this. And we watched Snapchat kind of just hover all day between the VWAP and the lower VWAP band. So we didn't get enough strength, even though we were getting volume all day, like pretty consistent volume throughout the day, right? Like every 5 minutes there was still millions of buyers and sellers. We still didn't have enough traction to see a clear pattern. And that was something I was telling the premium members today when we were in our chat, was even though you might see a little bit of traction after it's been sold off, don't jump on top of it, even if the volume is there, because we have indicators, right? We have things that'll help us find the direction of a stock without, you know, overdoing it or without getting too overconfident in ourselves, and then boom, we get a reversal, right? Like if you would have entered right here because you're like, it's green, we're pushing the VWAP, boom, we would have fell from 4208 all the way down to 4104, like roughly that area. So that's something to keep in mind. And then let's talk about SPY. So I am going to be entering some credit spreads on SPY tomorrow. I just wanted to put that out there to let you guys know. But they're going to be ones that expire Wednesday, so we're going to try to get a quick, you know, 20 bucks per contract. Maybe I grab 5, try to make 100, because I'm going to lower my profit goal a little bit this week just because of the volatility. The amount of volatility we have has been crazy. So let me zoom in here. Use this little guy. Let's do one more zoom in. There we go. Right here. All right, cool. So SPY was really interesting today, and I was watching the chart a little bit. But we did sell off initially, and we just continue to sell from right from in the morning. We had like a consolidation, and it was weird because SPY started to look strong, in my opinion, especially right here. Once we mounted over the VWAP, I saw 2 green candles. I really wanted to take a position here, and I'm glad I didn't because we reversed really quickly. And that's just me being patient on a Monday and not forcing anything, and knowing that I have spreads to fall back on if I ever feel like I missed out on a trade, right? And throughout the day we got some more traction back to the VWAP. The amount of volume that came in the last 5 minutes today on SPY was nuts. Pushes back to the EMA just over the VWAP, and we've been hanging out after hours above it. Looks like SPY is right now 340.17 according to Thinkorswim. So I'm going to double check that, but this has kind of been like my trading strategy recently, especially with the amount of volatility we have. Like you said, or like I said, or like you saw, Amazon was a very textbook mover today when it came to that, like that strategy between messing with the 180-day moving average or estimated moving average, and then also the VWAP strategy, right? The daily VWAP strategy. So that's why I'm not out here. If you guys are ever asking questions like, hey, I see Amazon selling off and the volume's low, I'm not going to be advising to enter a position or personally entering just because I need to see clear movement, right? Like, oh, it fell through the VWAP, we have more room to fall until we hit the EMA, right? If the EMA is down here, or vice versa, like, oh, we're consolidating along the EMA, how about we stay hands off for now until we get a clear pattern, like a clear trend, like, oh, okay, we're starting to show green, back to the VWAP, okay, maybe I'll consider to enter a position. Of course, this is at the end of the day, so I wouldn't really ever do that unless I was considering to swing a position. So I just wanted to show you guys that, and then also I had a play on GRWG that I wanted to show. So let's look at GRWG. This is the 180-day chart, and in the premium we did really well on this last week, and here's why. I'd like to play what's called the setup continuation trend. And this is where, I mean, we've seen Square do it, we've seen Beyond too, so I'll show you guys Square side by side, and this is, whoops, that's not Square. And I'll show you guys exactly what I'm looking for when it comes to these trends and how I pick them out. So if we look at GRWG, see this run up they had, and this was a span of about a week, right? They ran all the way from $9 to $22.88. So what you see here is when stocks pull back, but the volume and the price movement seems to consolidate, and it seems to be more bullish. This is where I come in and look at making a position, right? Because we're pushing to new highs or closing in on it, right? You could basically like, okay, we're pushing to new highs, the volume's there, it's still a bullish trend. It's not like one of these stocks to where it's 262, gets pumped up and then falls all the way back down to here, even further down. No, it pulled back and it held this line. It wasn't just like, okay, here and then legs down again. Held it, was showing more bullishness, so that's what I saw, and we entered a position on them right here at the end of the day on Wednesday, and we swung this into Thursday, and man, did it take off, and we were all able to cash out. And there were different times, everyone was cashing out separately. I cashed out at 20%, but I know a couple people had like 40 to 50 to even 60%, and we cashed out. And I honestly thought that the trend had more room to go, but I said I'll re-enter Monday because, you know, the weekend's really nuts when it comes to the stock market. So that's what I did not re-enter, but we did take our profits there. But that was another thing, and I'll show you where Square did it. Now Square did it back here. They did it back over the summer. So right here, Square ran up. We're above the EMA. Traded. I'll zoom in. We'll zoom back to the summertime, but this is what they did here, right? So they hit a new all-time high, and they held the line. They held the EMA. The volume was still coming in every day, and then right as it comes to testing all new all-time highs, as you can see the line here, a line here, boom, we had a huge breakout in that day. And I remember playing this back in August too, and I wrote it up, and I think that I had like an 85% return on Square that day. But if you look at that trend, it just looks so cool to see, you know, like, okay, right here we got a little bit of consolidation, looking for a big movement, pretty close to an all-time high, so you'll enter a position and it'll take off. So that's, and it doesn't happen all the time, but I really like that, and I really like using the 180-day EMA in my favor. Now that's the thing about Square, is it recently just crossed under it. So let's look to see how Square continues to move. But I know a lot of people are buying at the high. I'm waiting for a pullback. I'm glad that I did, because I think that this is a good stock and that pretty soon it'll have a really good entry point for me. But I just want to give you guys kind of a brief overview about how I trade and how I have been. But I've been rolling with these credit spreads to protect myself. So I'm still making money every day in the market, just differently now until after elections. And then I'm really hyped to get back on the, you know, calls and puts, and I'm still playing it, but the spreads have just been a blessing with this market volatility. I don't have any more anxiety when I trade. So it's just been really awesome. But I appreciate you guys if you made it this far. It really means a lot to me. And I cannot wait to see you guys in the next video and in the Discord. So have a great day, everybody. Take care.